Yep, this is it. The perfect evening, legs up, beer in hand, ebook beside me, but untouched. Just chilling, needing nothing but a sip of beer. It's a much-needed moment of calm, just being, especially alone. Solitude is all I crave right now. The sun's setting, warm colors painting the sky, the sea like glass. No wind, no noise, just serenity. My yacht Halcyon is anchored in a secluded bay off a Greek rock island. Small but perfect, with no one around, and good anchorage. Anchoring the yacht was tricky, needing a second mooring point in the tiny bay, but manual labor is a welcome change after a lazy day sailing the Aegean. Now, everything's set, beer's cold, and silence reigns. But then, thoughts of Julia intrude, always when I'm idle. It's a struggle I can't shake. I rarely dwell on the good times, doubting their authenticity. I used to think I was lucky, but now I see it differently. Her love seemed genuine, but maybe it was just a performance. Anger bubbles up, but I push it away. Focus on the sea, the sun, the pigeons, underrated creatures to watch. Just relax. Deciding to recheck the moorings, though unnecessary, distracts me from thoughts of betrayal. I plunge into the sea impulsively to clear my mind, avoiding the rage that's consumed me lately, isolating myself to spare others from my outbursts. My sister warned I was a ticking time bomb, prompting my hermit lifestyle. Luxury yacht over a cave, for sanity's sake. Back on board, I cook to occupy myself. Julia's absence in the kitchen echoes her absence in our partnership. Focusing on making an omelet, I appreciate the solitude of this public spot, rarely visited by others, enhancing its appeal. Enjoying a silent dinner on deck, the tranquility intensifies with the fading daylight, cliffs glowing in the sun's last rays. Suddenly, a motor disrupts the peace, signaling an unwelcome intrusion, a loud motor yacht approaching. My serene night shattered. I'm stuck with rowdy partygoers, too late and dark to escape to another island. As the yacht nears, it looms larger and more unattractive, blasting techno music. The approaching man, clad in a black suit, sticks out in the Aegean setting. Shouting over the music, he identifies the yacht as Fulvio Brianese, fashion royalty, demanding I move my tiny boat for privacy. I chuckle, refusing to budge. This is public property. I was here first. Irritation brews, but I maintain composure. His attempt to provoke me fails as I dismiss him. He retreats, his mission unsuccessful. I focus on my beer until he returns, offering €1,000 to move. I find it amusing and dismiss his offer with a curt remark. He leaves again. Later, their ship relocates to a nearby spot, uncomfortably close. I try to stay calm, treating the spectacle as free entertainment. Their ship resembles a circus with brightly lit decks. Some passengers behave oddly, with men strutting and women in high heels and bikinis. I wonder what kind of deck they have. I'd never allow high heels on my teak deck, but they seem standard on this ship, along with their pretentious attitude. Men preen while women serve as decoration. Their behavior baffles me. They likely hold a low opinion of me, as if we're from different planets. In addition to peacocks and bikini-clad women, there are men in black suits, clearly bodyguards, and crew members in white uniforms. The models, some merely slim and others alarmingly thin, resemble a gathering on malnutrition. Occasionally, they glance down at me on my boat, highlighting our stark differences. They, entrenched in their glamorous world, likely deem themselves important, hosting influential figures. Meanwhile, I'm just a solitary guy with a beer, though I believe my life is better than theirs. I ponder what the women on board are contemplating, perhaps seeking wealthy partners for status and security before aging out of their careers at a mere 22. I realize I'm ignorant of their world. How long can models work? 20? 30? 40? I have no clue. I reflect on Julia's deceitful intentions to marry and divorce a wealthy man, myself included. Her betrayal still stings deeply, shaping my life in a negative light. The present distraction arises from a commotion on a nearby yacht where a woman clashes with a group of men, including Bryony, easily identifiable as the overweight figure among them. His bodyguard hovers nearby, tension thickening as if violence looms. Their sudden awareness of my presence halts their confrontation, prompting me to offer a casual salute with my beer. They retreat inside, leaving the woman to fend for herself. Her futile resistance against them draws no sympathy from the onlookers, shocking me with their callous indifference. Trapped on their boat with no help in sight, she faces their aggression alone. As she tries to flee, the men close in, assured of their dominance. Helpless, she pleads with the other passengers, but they ignore her cries, complicit in her plight. Witnessing their greedy behavior sickens me, stirring a desire to intervene, though I'm unsure how. Despite her desperate pleas, the bystanders remain silent. turning a blind eye to her distress. Just as I consider grabbing my camera, the girl unexpectedly leaps overboard, surprising everyone, myself included. Despite the height of the fall, she lands gracefully, even in her high heels. It's a bold move, but it won't save her. There's nowhere to go. However, she swims toward me, still elegant, though I'm no longer admiring the sight. She's encroaching on my personal space. Should I send her back to those creeps? That's not an option. I couldn't live with myself. The alternative? Take her in. Sacrifice my cherished solitude. Worse, endure the company of a woman. I swore I'd never do that again. Just what I don't need right now. A woman at my side, likely a model, spoiled and entitled. I can almost hear her complaints already. Are there places in the world without women? A convent, maybe? Could I join in Gregorian chant? Are those monks truly eunuchs, or do they just seem that way? She's still swimming toward me. Damn. Damsel in distress. Potential female company. I'm panicking. It's too late to anchor now, and I can't refuse her boarding. She looks like she's in trouble. Fine, I'll take her to the nearest port tomorrow. As she reaches the gangway, I assist her, though it doesn't mean I'll engage in much conversation. Women aren't good for me. I need to keep my distance to avoid getting hurt again. This decision calms me a bit. I won't let another woman ruin my composure after months of regaining it. She looks at me questioningly, and I offer my hand without speaking. I may have a guest, but I won't chat all day. The situation is clear. She knows I witnessed the scene on Bryony's ship, and my gesture signals my willingness to help. Wait, she's still wearing heels as she steps onto my teak deck. I gesture to her shoes, and she quickly understands. Oh, sure. Sorry, she apologizes, removing them. My name is Anna, by the way. Mark. Damn, only a few seconds in female company, and I'm already fumbling. She extends her hand again. Our first handshake doesn't seem to count, as I was only helping her aboard. I understand her gesture and shake her hand. A blend of greeting and gratitude. As she stands, she takes her time, subtly showing me her presence in my space, perhaps allowing me to adjust to her unexpected intrusion. It's a thoughtful act after imposing herself on me. I wonder why a woman with any semblance of sensitivity was aboard that ship, though I dread hearing her story eventually. My new guest, Anna, is stunningly beautiful, fitting for one of Brian's companions. Surprisingly, she's not as young as I assumed, likely in her early 20s, only a few years younger than me. Anna isn't just attractive. She's downright beautiful, with sharp features and perfect green eyes. Despite her slender frame, she doesn't appear malnourished like some of the others. Her long, damp hair obscures its true color, but it's undeniably luscious. Compared to Anna, Julia pales in comparison, making me realize how out of my league she truly is. A few years back, encountering such genetic fortune would have thrilled me, but I've since resolved to exclude women from my life, preparing myself thoroughly. Though Julia's betrayal motivates this decision, I can still admire this woman's beauty, much like I would a butterfly or a flower. However, she doesn't stir any emotions in me, or so I keep telling myself. After a brief pause to assess her, she meets my gaze again, thanking me with a hint of insecurity, surprising me. Women like her aren't supposed to be timid. They're expected to take what they want and move on. Yet it's clear she genuinely needs my help, and much depends on my response. I grunt, signaling that conversation isn't on my agenda. She looks at me, puzzled, before accepting the towel I offer. Eventually, she smiles, likely pegging me as a grumpy sea dog, which suits me fine. It's not far from the truth. Glancing at the brightly lit ship, I observe Brian in animated discussion with his bodyguards. Perhaps he's contemplating boarding my yacht to retrieve the girl. Piracy in Greek waters would spell trouble, even for someone like Brian, especially for a woman he could easily replace. He's likely accustomed to success in every endeavor, down to a game of scissors. But what do I know? I remind myself not to delve too deeply. I need to keep these odd characters out of my life. I glance back to find her gazing at the scene, her expression now concerned rather than arrogant. I hope that fat fool doesn't send his goons to snatch me, she murmurs. He might. He's got 4 bodyguards he could sick on us. Maybe we'll swim away tomorrow, I respond dismissively, keeping my tone curt to maintain distance. Okay, I can't say I'll sleep well. I'm still a little worried. Thanks again for saving me. They were just about to maltreat me, she says. Her nonchalance about my brief responses surprises me. They? I blurt out before reining in my curiosity. Yes, Brian. His male guests, his bodyguards, and all the male crew, she reveals. It seems he made a bet that he and all the other men on the ship would entertain every girl at least once before the ship returned to Italy. All the other girls weren't thrilled about it, but he let them do it anyway. Suddenly I just couldn't take it anymore. Something broke inside me. I've put up with a lot of things without getting anything for it, but today it became too much. Damn it, yes, I said no to Fulvio Brion, and one little dive in my career went down the drain. That part of my life is now in the past. She looks surprised at her own revelation. I nod and emit a grunt, trying to sound sympathetic. For all that I look so beautiful, this fashion business is total crap, she remarks. Yeah, you're right, she continues, even though I remain silent. Maybe it's even better this way. There's nothing I can do about it now, right? Leave the old crap behind. Try something new. New opportunities will arise. Life is about change. Her unexpected optimism returns. How can she brush off something that completely shattered her perceived life? I wish I could, or can I? Hungry. Really, I'm always hungry. It's part of my job. I've been hungry for 10 years, she remarks, laughing. It's enchanting. Damn, what a woman. No, stop it, you fool. Okay, just stop it. To distract myself, I head below deck to prepare scrambled eggs for her. She follows, glancing around as I silently pass her a plate of omelets. It's surprisingly difficult to maintain a solemn mood with her presence, but it's necessary. There's no point in allowing myself to become fond of her, and I'm certain nothing good will come of it. Oh yes, that looks very appetizing. Thank you. Do you live here alone? She inquires. I nod, striving to limit my interaction with her to a bare minimum, to avoid being influenced by her cheerful demeanor. Do you have any clothes I could borrow? I haven't had time to pack, she asks, her smile returning. She's still stunning. I nod, fetching clothes from my aft cabin. I can't keep scowling when faced with that smile for long. Take one of the forward cabins, I instruct, handing her the clothes. Thank you. Are they all free? She queries. I nod once more. Why does a man like you live all alone? How do you keep women at a distance? She asks. What? The sheer shock on my face prompts her melodic laugh again before she takes pity on my confusion. Never mind, I'm going to change. It's a little cold in this wet bikini, she states, her smile warmer than that of a haughty mannequin. Turning, she heads forward, leaving me staring after her. She's just as stunning from behind as she is from the front. I shake my head, trying to comprehend her words. Julia always insisted I was just an ordinary guy. Nothing special or attractive about me. I was fortunate to have her, she claimed, and I believed her. Now this incredibly beautiful woman, a genuine model, was asking me how I keep women at bay. I suppose I have a bit of time while she changes to ponder this question. 2 minutes later, she approaches, somehow making my old, worn sweatpants look better than they should. Being a model, she changes swiftly, contrasting with Julia's leisurely pace. I find myself amused at the thought of a woman dressing quickly. Hey, you might have a friendly face. I don't think you're as much of a grump as you're trying to seem, she remarks, almost coaxing a smile from me. It's kind of working. As her hair dries, revealing her brunette locks, I silently scold myself. Would you mind if I stayed below deck? I don't want to remind Fulvio that I'm here, she asks. I affirm, realizing my attempt at brevity sounds absurd even to me. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Would you mind if I borrowed your e-book reader? She continues. I nod again, grateful for the retreat to my quarters, relishing the solitude once more. Early morning on deck. I'm always grouchy in the morning. My sole companion, a cup of coffee, doesn't seem to mind. I could linger in bed, but thoughts of Julia would haunt me. Yet even with her absence, I find solace in my sullen mood, lamenting how life treated me with Julia. The cacophony from Brian's vessel ceased around 4 a.m, now resembling a ghost ship. They probably won't stir until noon. But wait, I hear movement below deck. My uninvited guest seems determined to shatter the mental image I've formed of her. She's over 20, not bulimic, and surprisingly not haughty even when faced with my rudeness. And now she's an early riser. What's next? A certified mechanic? Morning, she greets, popping up from the hatch. Morning, I reply, likely wearing my grumpy expression. Coffee, galley? I request, and she disappears below deck. She seems just as sharp as I am in the morning, albeit much more pleasant to look at. I turn to the bay, its calm surface now tainted with visions of Julia and her lover mocking me. Damn it. I sense my uninvited companion making her way up on deck. Now that she's had her coffee, she'll be chipper and ready to engage in conversation about topics I couldn't care less about. And she'll flash that gorgeous mannequin smile. Don't forget about that. I don't need anyone trying to lift my spirits. I want to wallow in solitude. Don't I have that right, Anna? Her name catches me off guard once more. Without a word, she settles beside me on the deck, gazing out at the tranquil sea. The morning air remains crisp, untouched by the scorching Greek sun. Everything feels surreal around her. All I see now is the vast expanse of the sea. Julia has vanished. Silence envelops us until she breaks it with a sudden question. So what's the deal? You saved me. What do I owe you? Her demeanor hints at apprehension, as if bracing herself for unwelcome news. Has everyone who helped you in the past wanted something in return? I blurt out, regretting my candor. I certainly don't need to delve into her past, but her query catches me off guard. Yeah, pretty much, I confirm. Well, your life must be pretty crappy then, she remarks. Yeah, right, I respond, knowing that any woman as beautiful as her would have men lining up to do her favors. Yes, she replies, her expression serious and her pretty face looking utterly miserable. I glance at her, then look away, unsure of what to say. The silence feels uncomfortable. It dawns on me that leaving before Brian and his crew wake up is a wise move. Is there anything you need from the ship? I ask softly, surprised at my own gentleness. No, she answers firmly, as if she's relinquishing her life in the world of high fashion and all that it entails. I nod and prepare to depart. I hope she won't insist on helping me, but she remains by the rail, silently gazing at the sea. Does she simply prefer solitude, or has she intuited my desire for it? Either way, she seems to understand me better than I'd like. I tidy up the galley and proceed to work. I coil and stow the mooring lines with ease. Setting the anchor using the winch motor will be noisy and time-consuming, but it's unavoidable. Anna watches anxiously as the noise grows louder, her gaze fixed on the floating brothel. With no wind, I start the diesel engine. I aim to put some distance between us and Brian's yacht, just in case the noise of the anchor windlass disturbs anyone on board. As the Halcyon glides away, Anna visibly relaxes. Surprisingly, she looks even more beautiful, a sight I hadn't anticipated. She sits beside me, serene and content, while I navigate. With Brian's vessel disappearing from view, I grow weary of the diesel's drone, hoist the sails, and silence the engine. Ah, blissful quiet. Just the wind, the waves, and the sails. I furl the sails and return to the helm. Once more, a comfortable silence envelops us. I steal glances at her occasionally. She sits calmly, gazing out to sea. With Brian out of sight, she appears relaxed and serene, as if nothing else matters in the world. It's curious, I muse. She doesn't resemble a woman who just abandoned a career coveted by many. If Julia were in her shoes, not that she ever would be, she'd be anything but serene. She'd be anxious, demanding. But Anna? Yes, Anna. No, except, what if Anna views me the way Julia does? What if she thinks I should support her in the lifestyle she's accustomed to, simply because I let her come aboard? Perhaps that's why she seems unfazed by everything. Oh, hell, I groan inwardly. Here we go again. Henry Higgins was onto something. Invite a woman into your life, and peace of mind vanishes. I'm done with it, once and for all. I glance at her. She turns away, gazing at the sunlit ocean beyond the harbor rail, appearing entirely innocent. Of course, I remind myself, she's a model, or rather, a former model. They can portray any facade they desire. I shift my gaze to the sails, then to starboard. What's her game? My thoughts are interrupted. Hold on. How does she know about that? I stare at her blankly. Well, damn. The morning was nearly perfect, and now she has to spoil it. Nothing. Just a regular guy. Sure. Good-looking guy, clearly affluent. Sailing solo on a fancy yacht, trying to mask his niceness with grunts. What? Handsome? I spotted her first flaw. She definitely needs glasses. It's something we should discuss sometime. We're alone here, and I'm all ears, but I don't want to push. Thanks. Darn it. Am I that transparent? Yes, you are. I throw my head back, but she just giggles. I can't help but grin. Darn it. Playing defense isn't going so smoothly. All right, I'll take the bait. What's my next move? She even blushes a little. I'm not sure what you're going to say. I know you aim to keep your distance and stay quiet. She takes a deep breath and meets my gaze. There's a determined look on her face, though I think I detect sympathy in her eyes. Or am I imagining things? You've been hurt, badly. Your instinct is to withdraw and keep everyone at arm's length because you fear getting hurt again. It's normal. It's natural. Even animals do it. However, sooner or later, you have to turn around and start moving forward. You walk and talk, but you're still wary of getting hurt, especially by women. I get that. But by isolating yourself from others, you're only keeping your pain company. Each time you dwell on your wounds instead of engaging with others, you allow them to hurt you again. Your pain isn't improving, it's worsening, and you don't even receive sympathy because you've cut yourself off from society and no one sees you. I envision myself enduring in dignified solitude, cutting myself off so that no one, especially not a woman, could inflict the same pain as Julia. But what if I'm merely brooding? I decide to lay out my case to her, hoping she'll quiet down so I can think, or brood, or whatever. Okay, I was married to my childhood best friend, and it all crashed and burned. She cheated. Yeah, and in the end, all she cared about was my money. So, you can understand why I'm cautious, especially with women. That should occupy her for a bit, but it didn't. I'm sorry. I figured it was something like that, but you're allowing her to keep hurting you and preventing you from finding happiness. It's a shame to give her that much control over you. You'll have to address this eventually. You can't just bury it all. It's not healthy, and who better to confide in than someone you'll never see again? I'm surprised by her words. It seems she's not flirting with me after all. Don't worry. I know you plan to part ways with me at the next port, so your secrets are safe. She paused. How about I share my story? I ponder for a moment. If she's willing to share her story, it means she's not prying into mine or trying to dredge up Julia's pain. That's unsettling. But what if her ordeal was worse than mine, and yet she managed it better? Then I'd have to open up to this intriguing stranger from a completely different world. What would become of me then? She interrupts my thoughts. Silence resumes. Her grin is infectious, like that of a playful child. I almost smile back, but I catch myself. No attachments, I remind myself. Don't let her ensnare you. Too late. She's still smirking. Damn, she's got me again. I better tread carefully around her. Gradually, her smile fades, and her gaze drifts to the distant horizon. She speaks in a steady, monotone voice, as if reciting. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew me. Other kids were smarter or more talented, but I was the one expected to make it big, to be famous. You know, when all you can do is look pretty, that means a modeling career. I quickly learned I was at the bottom of the ladder. It was nothing like being a princess in my small town. For the first time, I was told I wasn't good enough. Time after time, in the harshest terms, she confided in me, her eyes pleading for empathy. Mark, when something you do, like a project or report, is deemed not good enough, it's disheartening. But when you're told you, yourself, aren't good enough, it's brutal. It really takes a toll on you repeatedly. She paused, turning back to the horizon. Like many models, I began to see my body as separate from myself. It was almost like a tool or a skill set. I did everything to maintain it. Exercise, proper diet, you name it. But still, I fell short. I was never chosen. Then I observed the directors favoring girls they were familiar with, those who socialized with them or higher-ups. Socializing, in reality, meant engaging in lovemaking. Regardless of the director's gender, it seemed customary. I resisted initially, but the pressure of unemployment became unbearable, so I relented. It wasn't terrible. Most were considerate, even kind. I had grown accustomed to viewing my body as separate from myself. I merely used it to secure a job, and while at work, eventually I landed a job. Everyone in my hometown celebrated seeing me in catalogs or ads. I felt burdened with the hopes and dreams of the entire village. Despite realizing I wouldn't reach the top and growing to despise my life, I persisted. I empathized more with girls in abusive relationships. I'm not sure what triggered my change of heart. I've been on Bryony's cruises before and knew the expectations. But for some reason, whether it was a wager or something else, I had enough. I hid in my cabin until the thugs forcibly removed me. You witnessed the rest. She pauses, meeting my gaze. They didn't think I'd dare to jump. Maybe I wouldn't have. But your boat was nearby, and I overheard your confrontation earlier. I was terrified last night, fearing Bryony would send his thugs after me. I was relieved to be just another disposable beauty. I wonder if I foiled their bet. She smiles at the thought. I smile back, trying to uplift her. It's still hard to fathom that some might see her as merely a pretty face. I'm done. It's all over now. The village will have to find another to celebrate. So what if I'm jobless and broke? I've endured this before and survived. I'll never sell my body again or let others dictate my worth. I don't know what's next, but whatever it is, I know it will be better because I'm free. She grins at me, and I'm taken aback by her even more radiant expression. So now you think I'm a courtesan? Her smile remains, her eyes shining like stars. What can I even say to that? Thankfully, she's likely accustomed to rendering men speechless with her charm. I stumble through some vague notions about choice and honesty, hoping she'll rescue me. You know, in a way, I'm a maid. I'm stunned. And she laughs again, confirming my enjoyment of her laughter. Remember when I said I began to see my body as separate from my heart, the real me? So yes, men and women used my body. And yes, sometimes I found pleasure in it. But I never truly made love. I never shared my heart. She gazes at me earnestly before continuing. All I ever wanted was what my mother had. A tranquil life with a loving partner and a home filled with affection. For a while, I lost sight of that. But not anymore. Her determination and optimism leave me feeling inadequate. I retreat downstairs to conceal my emotions, returning with 2 glasses of chilled Sauvignon Blanc. We raise a toast to her future, and it strikes me that it's not just her physical beauty that captivates me, but her essence. I decide to divulge my story to distract myself. You? Yes, I'm eager to hear your story, she replies, still smiling. Am I really that transparent? I ask. Yes, indeed, but I still want to hear it, she assures me. How does she do it? Well, we'll address that later. Let's get started. I met Julia on my first day of school. Some bullies were teasing her, so I stepped in. We became close with her helping me academically and me protecting her. Money didn't matter at 6. We were inseparable. Julia blossomed into a popular beauty, and she didn't want me fighting off boys anymore. Despite our friendship, people, even my mom, thought she was out of my league. Your mother? Anna's voice carries horror. That's awful and wrong. Maybe, but it still affects me, I admit, even now. Your mom must have been mistaken or intoxicated, got you confused with someone else. Hey, don't speak ill of my mother, I warn. Though Anna sees through my facade and laughs, I join in before continuing. We attended the same university. Julia reached out, reminiscing about feeling safe with me. She hinted I had a chance with her. I was thrilled and proposed. She said yes, but my happiness shattered when I found her in bed with another man. I didn't confront them, I just retreated to my office, nursing my wounds. She nods, expecting my agreement. She cried, apologized, promised faithfulness. I relented because I wanted her back. So you forgave her? Anna asks. Yes, I did, I affirm. I might have forgiven one mistake, but she didn't keep her word, Anna ponders. Did she have money when you wed? No. Why? You mentioned she went after your money post-divorce. Just a thought. What if she thought your wealth meant power in the relationship? Maybe she felt insecure, but I loved her, cared for her. Why insecure? Perhaps dependent is better, Anna suggests. Maybe her cheating aimed to shift power dynamics, make you reliant on her. Are you excusing her? I ask, slightly defensive. No, breaking promises like that has no excuse. I think of you. Trapped, not in pain, but not happy. To live again, you need to understand her cruelty. How do you know all this? I feign sarcasm, but she's earnest. I don't know. I guess I just empathize. She smiles sadly, then looks at me. Go ahead. What happened next? I pause, preparing to recount the downfall of my world. It began with a mundane snooker night disrupted by a power outage. Instead of joining my buddies for drinks, I opted for a cozy evening with my wife at home. Entering our apartment, I discovered a candlelit ambiance and soft music, a shared indulgence. Apparently, one of my friends had tipped Julia off. As I fetched candles for the bathtub, I stumbled upon a scene. Julia and a man exchanging kisses and bubbles. I stood there unsure how to react, eventually clearing my throat for attention. They turned, unfazed, greeting me with smiles. Andy, the man, introduced himself warmly. In that soapy embrace, reality hit. I witnessed the demise of my marriage, the end of my love. Overwhelmed, I fought back tears. They reassured me, claiming love unchanged, the situation inconsequential. Julia even suggested continuing the affair, asserting her affection for us both. Stunned, I stood silent, grappling with disbelief. Julia smiled, unfazed by my reaction. Mark, I've realized I love 2 men, she began, her tone matter-of-fact. Andy's accepted it, and I know you will too when you see how happy we all are. I'll still be with you most of the time, but now that you know, I'll spend some nights with Andy when you're out with your friends. You won't even notice. And when we start a family, Andy will use protection to ensure the kids are yours. Right, Andy? Andy eagerly agreed, nodding along. Our marriage will be stronger this way, she insisted. What about your promise to be faithful? I interjected. Oh, that, she brushed it off. I was a bit quick to promise. Besides, I hadn't met Andy yet. Does that justify breaking your promise? I pressed. Mark, don't be melodramatic, she retorted. Think about it. Andy and I have been dating for over 2 months now. Has your love for me diminished? No. You've even enjoyed better lovemaking since I've been seeing Andy. He's different from you, spontaneous and unpredictable, but you're still the better lover because you know me so well. It shouldn't be a problem unless you make it one. She showed no remorse, demanding I accept her affair. Her vow of fidelity seemed meaningless. As I looked at her and Andy, smiling together, pain crept into my heart. What if I don't agree? Her smile now held a hint of reproach. I hate to say this, Mark, but you need to know the consequences. If you divorce me over this, I'll protect Andy and myself. I'll ensure I get at least half of everything you own. I hope it never comes to that, but I'll do what I have to. She softened her tone. Remember, I've loved you since you were 6. The choice shouldn't be difficult. Keep enjoying what you have or risk losing me and half your assets. With warm smiles, she and Andy invited me to accept my betrayal. I must have looked as dumbfounded as a cartoon character punched with a brick. Andy chimed in, inviting me to join them. Julia playfully urged me to stay, blowing water at me and kissing Andy on the nose. I'm done, I said, walking away. Their soft chatter followed as I left, but I was too consumed by the situation to pay attention. I packed an overnight bag and left. It wasn't until later, alone in a hotel room, that I fully processed what had happened. I cried, cursed, and pounded the mattress in frustration. When I woke up, Julia was no longer the woman I loved. She was my enemy. Protecting my assets became my priority, even if I didn't need the money. It was a matter of principle, not paying her for her betrayal. I had a significant advantage unknown to my spouse. My wealth wasn't truly mine. It came from a trust fund set up by my clever grandfather. He had a cynical view of women and devised a plan. I'd receive a monthly allowance until age 40 or after my first divorce, at which point the full fortune would be mine. Legally, I had almost no assets when Julia ended our marriage. Ironically, the divorce was meant to make me wealthy. I consulted a family lawyer immediately. He assured me that the worst-case scenario would be minimal alimony for a short period. Reluctantly, I accepted this outcome. He handled the legalities, ensuring Julia couldn't flee, and initiated the divorce process. He predicted things would get interesting once Julia realized the new reality. Meanwhile, I rented a nice apartment and moved my essentials. Julia didn't reach out for a week, then sent a message asking if I'd gotten over my hurt feelings and was ready to return home. I didn't respond. Despite her professed love, she didn't seem to miss me. 2 weeks later, the flood of texts and messages began. It seemed her lawyer had informed her that she wouldn't be as wealthy as she'd expected. She oscillated between professing love, claiming misunderstandings, and urging me to be brave. After all, Andy had tolerated it. Why couldn't I? Suddenly, everything came to a halt. A few days later, her lawyer presented a post-nuptial agreement, claiming I signed it, offering her $20,000 a month for life in case of divorce. However, handwriting experts discredited Julia's claim. They then attempted to accuse me of domestic violence but failed to provide evidence. Eventually, they settled for what we proposed, $2,000 a month for a year and legal fees. I emerged victorious, yet felt awful, avoiding women like the plague and retreating into seclusion. I'm leaving, I announced, breaking the silence. Anna remains quiet. I glance at her, seeing tears streaming down her face. You know what? She's still beautiful, I think. I'm deeply sorry, Mark. I understand your pain, Anna responds. Strangely, after recounting the ordeal, my anguish lessened, unbeknownst to me. But Mark, you can't continue like this. She's not worth your life. She never cared about your happiness. And you're letting her bring you down, Anna says, her words carrying strength and determination etched on her face as tears dry on her cheeks. Mark, you have to live. Allowing her to destroy you is letting her win. I flinch, sensing the severity of her words. She pauses, allowing me time to ponder before interjecting into my thoughts. So you're a hermit? Her playful smile returns, accompanied by a glint in her eyes. Yeah, I suppose so. Yesterday I might have embraced that label proudly. Today I'm not so sure, I admit. At least you're not one of those bushy-bearded types, she teases. Thankfully no, I reply. Promise me you'll move past this soon. You need to start living again, Mark, she urges gently. Her caring tone resonates with me, leaving me speechless as I nod in response. She shifts focus. Good? she remarks. Now that's settled, I'll catch some sun. Her smile teases yet invites as she gracefully rises and heads to the bow. Did people really tell her she wasn't pretty enough? Unbelievable, I think, joining her to admire the view. As she settles near the mast, using my sweatpants as a cushion, I can't deny her allure. She exudes perfection, even without a camera to capture it. Yet there's more to her than meets the eye. Her kindness is genuine, a rarity. She empathized when I spoke of Julia easing my pain. Is she psychic? I hope not. Despite knowing me for less than 24 hours, she understands me deeply. But is she right about me? Should I abandon my isolation? I can't risk another ordeal like Julia. Yet, if I'm allowing her to slowly destroy me, as Anna suggested, what's the difference? Watching Anna, who's left her past behind like I have, albeit more dramatically, I see her eagerness to embrace life despite uncertainty. Her attitude is infectious. In her presence, my fear of living diminishes. With her, I feel she's way out of my league. Maybe there's someone like Anna, but less stunning to build a life with. My imagination wanders as I watch Anna's smooth belly and nearly exposed bosoms. Mark, damn, she caught my eye despite the sunglasses. Maybe models can always tell. Where are we going? She asks indifferently. Naxos, I reply. So, this is where you were going to leave me? She smirks, rolling onto her back and removing her sunglasses. No, I won't leave you, but it's not like I want to, I respond, flustered. She laughs. Sorry, Mark, I shouldn't have. I just miss having someone to tease, to have fun with. Forgive me. I smile and nod, willing to forgive her anything. Then, the nagging voice reminds me of women's capabilities. No, Mark, I'm not, she assures softly, sensing my unease. I wonder if I can read her. What's happening here? So I'll leave the boat on Naxos? I ask. No, unless you want to or need to, but you can if you want. I really like you here, but I wouldn't, she replies. Oh, crap. You can stay as long as you want, she adds, enjoying my stuttering. I take a deep breath. I was planning on stopping there anyway for supplies, and you might want to get some clothes. That's my plan. What's the matter, sailor? Not enjoying the view? She poses like a glamour girl, teasing. She laughs, then gets serious. I don't have money or debit cards, and I may not be able to pay you back right away. I pretend to think as I approach her. Maybe I'll find a way for you to pay me back. I keep a straight face, making her apprehensive. How are your knots? I ask, still serious. She hesitates. What's with the knots? Her voice trembles. Sailor's knots. Halcyon doesn't sail herself. Since you're here, you might as well help. I smile. She laughs and slaps my arm. I got you, didn't I? I enjoy teasing her. Looks like someone else needs some lighthearted fun. She smiles back at me. We sit facing each other on the foredeck. I teach her some knots as the sail shields us from the Greek sun. It's hot, so I remove my shirt. Occasionally, we exchange glances and smile. It's odd to have someone like her look at me like that, but not so strange that I can't get used to it. I haven't felt this relaxed around a woman in a while. We practice trimming the foresail, more for the experience. She's surprisingly athletic, and watching her move is enjoyable. My bikini-clad companion helps me unmoor Halcyon, making us the envy of the waterfront. She follows my instructions flawlessly, seeming like a natural. If I once thought she was just a brainless model, I now know better. She borrows my sweatpants, and we head into town. Our first stop is the bank, and as expected, Anna can't access her accounts without proper identification, so she shops using my funds. I half expect her to indulge in stereotypical shopping sprees, but she surprises me by purchasing a few sundresses, shorts, and tops, seeking my advice on footwear. Her choices are tasteful and of good quality. While she shops for undergarments, I gather groceries and supplies. By the time we reconvene at the town square, we're both loaded with our purchases from the docks. I grinned, watching her in my sweatpants under the midday sun. Now in a light sundress, she looks stunning, laughing as I stare. Surely half of Naxos envies me. We board, store our purchases, and relax. Every time I think I'm accustomed to her beauty, Anna surprises me with a different look or demeanor, leaving me stunned. Thank you, Mark, she says. I'll repay you with my savings. Maybe hold on to them until you find a job or something, I suggest. Well, maybe, but I don't like owing my friends, she replies with a soft smile. Her eyes warm, and I feel overwhelmed. We're friends, she reiterates. Friends help each other, like you did for me last night, even when you didn't want to. We both acknowledge she's right. Friends don't hurt each other. And no matter what, Mark, I won't hurt you. Never. You know, We're at ease with each other. Can't recall the last time I felt that way with a man. No expectations, no pressure. Just friends. When was that? She muses. You're feeling comfortable with me too. One more thing. You know how I always seem to know what you're thinking? How can I read you? You're the only person I can do that with, she adds. Damn, I try to feign disappointment. I was hoping you could read everyone like that, and we could rule the world. We chuckle, and she gazes at me. So, friend, what are the plans for tonight? She asks. Well, friend, the word slips out before I can stop it, surprising me, but it's fitting. I'm not one to plan. Good, she says, smiling. Because I have one. And it's perfect. You're taking me ashore to that nice seafood place we spotted, and we'll have a wonderful dinner together. And then? I inquire. After dinner, we'll head back to the boat, and I'll fill you in on the rest, she responds. We dine ashore at a humble seafood spot. I briefly worry if Anna might feel out of place, but the restaurant's long-standing reputation reassures me. Despite the stares, Anna comforts me, unperturbed by the attention. We enjoy a leisurely meal, and the owner's visits feel more like genuine hospitality than curiosity. The fresh seafood delights us both, and I'm surprised to find myself having a good time. As we leave, Anna's hand in mine, we stroll along the waterfront before returning to the halcyon. Anna's kiss is gentle, her gratitude palpable. Thank you, she whispers softly. I can't remember the last time I enjoyed a night so much. She glances away briefly to conceal her tears. After a pause, she turns back to me, flashing a cunning smile. So, ready for the rest of the plan? She asks. Yeah, I suppose, I reply, and she chuckles. Sure about that? She winks, arching an eyebrow. Her earlier words echo in my mind. Promise me you'll start living again, Mark. Okay, I'm game. What's the deal? I adopt a confident stance, hands on hips. Is this where you seduce me? Huh? My eyes widen, mouth agape, hands dropping to my sides. Seduce? You know, and then you... She grins at me, making me feel awkward. I mutter something in response, and she giggles. Well, part of you understands, right? Her gaze falls to the noticeable bulge in my pants. Oh no, she hasn't even touched me, yet I'm already aroused. Anna, I thought you didn't want to rush into things, I say. Don't worry, Mark, love-making isn't on the agenda, she reassures. Huh? It seems to be my go-to response. We're going to make love, she declares, her eyes serious, her smile sweet, radiating warmth. I feel myself falling for her. Anna, you could have anyone. Why me? I ask. We're falling for each other. Haven't you noticed? She replies. Panic grips me once more. Mark, I'm not Julia. I could never hurt you like she did. Her tone is soft but earnest, and I believe her. Without a word, she grabs my shirt, pulling me close for a kiss. It's incredible, almost magical, like nothing I've experienced before. When we part, I see tears in her eyes, and surprisingly, my own eyes grow moist too. Our connection feels almost overwhelming. She stands, still holding onto my shirt tightly, and pulls me towards my quarters, urgency in her movements. Then she pushes me onto the bed. You're so beautiful, I managed to say, still processing what just happened. Why me? Was it my wealth? I can't think of any other reason. Suddenly, I lift my head to look at her. She's watching me, a satisfied expression on her face. No, Mark, no. I love you, not your money. Don't misunderstand. Money's helpful, sure, but using a man for it repulses me, she explains. I'll sign anything. Prenup? No problem, I offer, trying to lighten the mood. A prenup? Well, why not? Just in case we tie the knot someday. You never know, she replies with a sly grin, and after a moment I can't help but chuckle. It seems my destiny is already set. Well, it could be worse. Am I crazy? And even if you hadn't thought about it, I'm on birth control pills. You're actually the first guy I've been with without protection. So, you're in the clear, she adds. Wow, what a fool I've been, I mutter, feeling a mix of embarrassment and relief. She laughs at my reaction. You're too kind, Mark. Ah, Mark, we need to figure out our next move. Well, the home port of this ship is Antibes, though I'm not sure that's what you meant. Okay, do you have a car there? I inquire. Yes, big X5, she replies. Okay, so it's one of those SUVs, right? We'll drive to Milan from there. If you're okay with it, we can swing by and grab my stuff, the remnants of my old life, I suggest. Sure thing. Plus, it's pretty much on the way to Germany, she agrees. All right, we're going to have a blast. I've got a lot of work ahead, and I'm looking forward to it, I say. Your job? She asks. Yeah. I've got to convince this guy that good women are out there, I explain. Oh, so you're opening up to the female population again? She teases. What, are you joking? I respond. Absolutely not. My motives are purely selfish. I might come off as a bit blunt. It all seems too good to be true, she admits. The 4 weeks sailing back to Antibes were idyllic, filled with endless lovemaking, sun-soaked days, and culinary delights. We deliberately steered clear of discussions about the future, divorces, or our past, focusing only on the present. Upon arrival, we packed up the boat and loaded my car in silence, both dreading the return to reality. The journey back to Milan and then Germany was tense, with unspoken fears looming over us. I feared losing her again, having fallen deeply in love, while she seemed distant. Back in my apartment, the spark we shared on the yacht seemed to fade, replaced by an underlying tension. Despite the satisfying closeness, we both felt a strain. I contemplate returning to the yacht to salvage our relationship, unsure of how to prevent its demise. As we sit watching TV, I find her snuggled against me, reminding me of her allure. Just as I consider retreating to the bedroom, the doorbell interrupts our thoughts. Anna still refuses to answer the door or phone in my apartment, and it's starting to bother me because it indicates she's not quite comfortable here yet. All right, Anna, I'll get it. Thank you. I open the door and find my nightmare standing there. Julia, dressed to the nines, looks stunning yet sinister. Oh, honey, you finally arrived, she exclaims, rushing over to me. I feel repulsed. Unfazed by my lack of response, she steps back, observing me. My, don't you look radiant? Been soaking up the sun? She compliments. Thank you, I reply. Aren't you going to invite me in? She asks, anticipating. Please come in, Julia, Anna says behind me as I ponder how to deal with her. With a furrowed brow, I step aside. Thank you, Julia says. And you? Julia turns to Anna. I'm Julia, Anna replies. I'm aware, Julia responds. What a peculiar exchange, I think, closing the door. Their voices abruptly turn sharp. If words were blades, the room would be drenched in blood. Please have a seat, Julia, Anna offers. Thank you, Julia responds stiffly, still silent. So you're a friend of Mark's? Anna asks. I'm his girlfriend, Julia declares. Getting paid for this? Julia's tone shifts accusatorily. Are you insinuating I'm a courtesan? Anna counters. Well, let's not be too hard on ourselves. You're not unattractive. Mark's quite wealthy. I wouldn't suspect prostitution, but perhaps some form of escort service, Julia suggests. No, I'm sorry. I wouldn't want to intrude on your affairs, Anna says. What? That's absurd. So you're not with him for his money? Julia probes. No, absolutely not. It was a misunderstanding during his messy divorce. We belong together. I truly love him, Anna asserts. Me too, Julia retorts. Honey, let's face it. Mark's a decent guy, but he's on a different level in terms of appearance. I won't buy for a second that you're here for love, Julia challenges. All right, darling. Let's talk about levels. I'm certainly not on yours, Anna says. Oh, come on, don't overstate yourself, Julia scoffs. Not true. You're decent looking, but I'm model material, Anna counters. Now, let's talk about Mark. He's handsome, built like a tank, honest, open, and caring. He's a rare find. I'd love to have him. If he proposed, I'd marry him without hesitation, Julia confesses. Really? I ask, utterly shocked. You're just after his money, you cow, Anna accuses. No, I'd happily sign any prenup, Julia insists. Really? I inquire again. Absolutely, Julia affirms. You fool! What do you think I've been waiting for all this time? Why do you think I've been so on edge since we left the boat? Anna questions. Julia hesitates. What? Mark, please don't, Anna pleads. That woman Anna is no good for you. You need me, Julia states. I still can't believe my luck, but I slowly rise and approach Anna. I say, Anna, no, Mark, don't, Julia warns. Yes, Anna beams. Anna, will you? I start to ask. Mark, someone grabs my shoulder, trying to stop me. I barely notice. I'm in a daze, but I love it. It's like a dream. I've been expecting Anna to leave me for good. For 4 weeks. Now that she's back in Germany, can I really have her? Unbelievable. Damn, I think. Yes, I will. Anna, please marry me, I propose. Yes, Anna says. I can't finish that sentence. No, Mark. Julia finally releases my shoulder, and Anna leaps into my arms. Yes, damn it. This can't be real. Mark, don't do this, Julia pleads. Really? Really? Yes, I exclaim. Mark, Julia says finally. I thought you'd never ask. I was so scared, Anna admits. This time I silenced her with a kiss, I narrate. Looks like my presence is no longer required, Julia says. Mark, I could have been so good for you. But instead you chose that woman and let her tear you apart, Julia laments. You're right, Julia, I concede. What? You're not needed here anymore. I'm glad you came. This is the best thing that could have happened to us, the best thing you have ever done for me, Anna asserts. Julia, I wish you all the best. I've forgiven you. It doesn't matter anymore. But if you'll excuse us, we have some things to finalize, I state. Anna, don't touch him, Julia warns. Okay, I won't. Not like me, Anna responds. Anna and I exchange surprised glances as Julia heads for her door, the front door, and we head for the other door, the bedroom. I've definitely changed. I have to thank Fulvio, Brian, and Julia for making the stream possible, I conclude.